Thanks everybody for coming out. Before we start, we want to acknowledge, feel your feet on the ground. You're standing on Gadigal ground, the Gadigal clan of the Eora Nation. This land that was stolen, this land that was never given up. So just be aware where you stand. Years ago they had to go through the indignity like us, where white Australians voted as to whether Indigenous Australians could be citizens in their own country. They went through that indignity, so maybe for a lot of white fellas here who haven't questioned that, you might think, well, it's, you know, we're in a sense, it's a similar position where predominantly heterosexual people vote. They who've had marriage rights all the way along get to vote on whether we get to marry. In 1978, we were following on from arrests and marches in 1972, 73 and so on, where people were fighting for their basic rights, their rights to work and be out as gay men and as lesbians and trans. In 1978 we rallied and we had a permit to march, and we marched down Taylor Square, and then the police confiscated that permit and we marched on anyway, led by a bunch of really feisty dykes. We originally were going to go into Hyde Park and have a big party, but they said we couldn't go in there, so the dykes at the end said, and a whole lot of gay boys yelled, "To the cross!" So we marched to the cross. And by then, you know, there was a few thousand people in the cross joined in, and then the police from Darlinghurst Police Station, which was notoriously corrupt, they came in, the police took their badges off, and they came in from both ends and they trapped people and just started dragging people, throwing them into the paddy wagons, trying to shut the doors on the paddy wagons on people's legs. And then following on from that, the Sydney Morning Herald, The Age and others published the names and addresses of all those arrested that night. So some people lost their jobs, some people lost their families, some people lost their housing, and that was in 78, and that led on to massive campaigns where we fought and we won and we overhauled lots of repressive legislation. But that's almost 40 years ago, and we still to this day in this country do not have the right to marry, a civil right. So we're really proud that you've turned out today. There are people here who have come. I met a family who came all the way from Gloucester. There are people, there's a 78er and others who came down from Kempsey. Kempsey marched and rallied. Every single shop in the town of Kempsey, bar one, had a sign supporting marriage equality. In Tamworth they marched, in Braidwood they marched, in Nowra they have got rainbow flags flying everywhere. The whole of this country is flying rainbow flags. The whole of this country stands with us, which, you know, compared to 78 when we were pariah, we have come a really long way. So I'll hand you back to James Breckney. One last thing, next week, next Sunday, we're going to march in Parramatta, because in 1978, following the mass arrests by the police, and it was the police who rioted, we didn't riot. So following on from that, we had 6 months of action. It was called a summer offensive. There was a rally in Blacktown, there was a rally in Parramatta. So after almost 39 years, there is going to be a GLBTQI and everybody else rally in Parramatta next Sunday at 11:30 outside Parramatta Town Hall. We encourage you all to come along and stand up for the West, where they're not as privileged as you are in the city to get 30,000 or 15,000 to march. So we encourage you to come out to Parramatta to march, and then we'll end up at the Parramatta Pride picnic on the foreshore. You can get there by train or you can get there by ferry.
Thank you so much, Gay. The fight never ends, organising more rallies. I know many of you are from the West today, so thank you for coming and support Gay's event and the other 78ers and so forth. Next Sunday, outside Parramatta Town Hall, 11:30 a.m.